Hello, family and friends from YouTube. Glad you could make it today. If you're interested and enjoying my videos, please give us a thumbs up down there, and please subscribe also down there on the button and give a subscribe, and I'll notify you when the next videos are coming up. But before we start our next video, I want to explain a little bit something to you. But I purchased a big Lifetime shed, and it's a 8 by 12.5. And I looked on YouTube and all the different instructions on how to put it together and all that stuff. And let me tell you, it's a lot more difficult putting it together than what they say it is. They make it sound a little easier than it is, but it's not that easy. Like I said, I had a lot of trouble spots doing it by myself. I got most of it done, but it took me a long time. I had a little bit of help from my wife, but she couldn't help much because she has no strength. She can't stand very long. So I'll tell you what, you really need two good people to put them things together and to figure it out, because they don't always line up, and there's some precautions you should take ahead of time. You should deburr all the edges and make sure everything is nice and smooth. And you know, if you have to, you may have to pull this or pull that, or whatever you have to do. But I'm going to show you a video of me trying to put this thing together. I tried to shorten it down, so I'm probably going to make it in 2 or 3 parts. So we're going to start with part 1 when we just came in. So come on along with me and let's put this thing together, okay? As you can see, this is the box that the shed arrived in, and we are going to unwrap that thing pretty soon here and take some of the parts out of there and start building the shed. Now this is the slab that it's going to go on. This is where my camper used to sit, and we are going to put it right there. Now you can see that we have already put the floor together there. They haven't been screwed together yet, they're just laying there, and we'll do that a little bit later. But that's the beginning, and we're going to continue on, and there's some more parts that you can see exposed there, some walls. Now here is where I'm going to put one of the rafters together for you. It's quite a situation that you have to make sure you get the right ends and everything put together in the right parts and the right screws. And to be honest with you, when I put all my rafters together later, I found out that I put some of the screws in backwards. I had to go in and change them all. So I'll let you know that when I get to that point. Here we're getting them together. It's rather warm out there, and that's the only I can lay this tarp down so I got some work area outside. It takes a little bit of time to put these all together. So, there we go, and we're getting it together. It's time consuming when you try to put this thing together, because you have to put all these rafters together first, and then you got to put everything else together first, so that's all ready to go when you start building the shed. Now this cross piece that I'm putting in, this is where I put the screws in wrong. The heads of the screw has to go on the inside of these panels and not on the outside, because the roof panels slide inside of these panels here, because that is the rafters. So that's how we're going to get started with that. And once I get all these done, I'll show you some other stuff that we've got to put together. This is our completed one. They're not all tightened up yet, so I was lucky enough to be able to loosen them up. And now we're here at the gables. We have two gables, front and the back. This one here is the front one. You can tell by the archway. That's where the doors are going to go on the front. But you got different screws and stuff to put together here as well. And it'll be all right. So just if you read the instructions on these and make sure you put all the screws in. I did miss a couple of screws that I found later after I got the shed all done. I found some screws I had left out. Fortunately, they were still able to put them back in with no problems. I didn't have to take anything apart to do that. So, just take your time, and these aren't that difficult to put together. You just have to watch how you do it. Now here, this bar here is important. You put the end caps on it. There's plastic end caps on them. But you got to remember to put it in the right spot. There's a square hole in the bottom that has to face downward. That's what's for one of your locks. And all the indented holes are facing away from the gable. So make sure you put that one on right, otherwise you're going to have a big problem. And you'll have to take it all down, or at least that bar would have to come down and change it over. And it's a little difficult to do. And another thing I want to just remind you of, if you're using a power drill, make sure you have that on the lowest settings possible, because if you strip these screws, you're in big trouble because you won't be able to redo them again. So you got to make sure you don't strip them out, and they shed won't hold together if you strip them out, believe me. You'll notice that I'm storing these parts inside my shed, my other shed, and because I didn't know if I was going to get to it before it rained or not, so I had to make sure. And now you see that we are going to go back and work on the floor. We're going to be screwing all the floor pieces together. There's about 5 or 6 pieces that we're putting together. They all have to be screwed together. So there's 2, 4, 6 screws for each panel. And you'll see that as we go along. There I'm putting in the little circles for where the door hinges are going to go. You got to make sure those are in there and in the right way, because if they're not in the right way, you're in trouble. And you'll be able to get it out, but it's just some of those things that you have to do, otherwise you'll have troubles, just like I did, because I didn't pay attention the way I should, and I had some problems. now. We're about ready to start putting up some of the walls. And the first corner goes on that front right, because that's where you have to start. Now, the problem is, like I probably said earlier, you need to deburr a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of edges, some of the leftover plastic that, you know, gets left over there. So you need to really use a Stanley knife and kind of, what I say, deburring it. Get some of that crap off in there, otherwise they won't fit properly, and it's really hard to get them in there. So, and you can see that's what I'm doing right now, off in the bottom of those little pegs that have to go into the little holes into the flooring. They pop in there and then they slide in. They have to snap them in and slide them over. Now this, like I said, this is the first corner that goes in. Now this one was not that difficult to put in, but the rest of the corners are really tough putting in. You gotta use a block of wood. Of course, they furnished a little piece of plastic block that you can use to put underneath that flooring to help pop them in. But let me tell you, it doesn't always work that easy, especially when you gotta put some weight on there to pop them down in there. And of course, I don't weigh that much, and I just don't have the strength, and you don't want to hammer them because you could damage the edges up there. So you really got to have somebody who's got some weight to them and to pull them down and pop them into the holes. So just keep an eye on that. And like I said, this first row, or the first corner there, is not that easy. as you can see, once I got that first panel up there, it wouldn't stay up there at all, so I had to lean the ladder onto it so it would stay up against there. But I learned a tip right after that. If you put at least one screw in the panel next to the other one so that they're screwed together, that first panel will hold the next one up. So that's one tip that you can use. Just by putting one screw in is all you're going to do, and that'll hold that panel together for you. So that's a good tip. And from here on, you just keep putting the panels in, one right after another, until you get to the corners. The corners are, like I said, are going to be kind of tough. So just keep right on going around. That's about all you can do for now. And like I said, at least put one screw in each panel as you go along. That way, the first one will hold up that next one. All right, good luck, guys. Oh, by the way, stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this video. And stay tuned for part 2, and we'll continue on as we go along.